Tony Anzalone, thanks for having me here at Cordis.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. It's always a pleasure to visit Florida, and glad to have you this time of season. So
absolutely. Hey, let's talk about Cordis Manufacturing Solutions. Everybody knows Cordis for their drug-eluting balloons, smart stents, sheaths, diagnostic catheters. Tell us about Cordis Manufacturing Solutions, why you did it, and what you do.
Yeah, it's a good question. So Cordis is a world-class manufacturer of diagnostic catheters, advanced interventional delivery systems, really in this business from the very beginning, when interventional cardiology was invented as a specialty. And their intellectual property portfolio is vast in the area. So we have a lot of mature products here that we make in very, very high volume, and we are basically vertically integrated fully in those products. And so that capability, that expertise, that manufacturing uniqueness as an organization, we thought had value in the marketplace as a supplier. In particular, when as a finished device company, we use a lot of medical device suppliers. We see the level of quality, we see the collaborativeness and the ability to reach specifications that we're trying to achieve. And we realized, hey, we can do it better. So we decided to get into the business, and we're supplying components today.
Okay, and talk to us a little bit about the different components and the ability to scale those components.
So you go back to advanced catheter development, right? You've got the reflow process, braiding, extrusion, but then there's components within the catheter, things like Etched PTFE liner, FEP extrusion, sometimes PEEK extrusions are used. So within the total capabilities of developing and manufacturing a catheter, we decided to start with the areas that were of greatest need in the market today, which is Etched PTFE liners, FEP extrusions, PEEK extrusions. We have excess capacity here at the facility and great capabilities from an engineering perspective, and so we've entered the market with those components primarily as the first offering.
Those components, PTFE liners, FEP heat shrink tubing, PEEK, has there been issues with supply chain, concerns over the years? Is that one of the reasons? Do you see an opportunity to enter the marketplace?
I mean, I think we all know the disruption and the challenges we had in the marketplace in 2021 in the global supply chain across many, many different component areas. Cordis, as a finished device manufacturer, wasn't immune to that. What was different for us than many of our competitors and peers is that we had internal capabilities. We developed them all the way back in 2016. Did that more for R&D development and for the ability to turn new product development more quickly. And then once locking that in, then going to a third-party supplier to create scale. But in 2021, when there was a shortage in the market for components, a lot of those capabilities we decided to scale up and turn into full vertical integration or 80% integration of our supply chain. That immuned us to a lot of the volatility and turbulence, price disruption in the market, and made us extremely capable and lean in our manufacturing for our finished devices.
Okay, excellent. So let's move on and talk to us a little bit about, as a medical device company, why did you do this in the first place?
Another good question. So you look at the history at Cordis, it was a startup acquired by J&J. J&J was an innovator, took Cordis a long way on the innovation path and the IP development path. It was then acquired by Cardinal Health. Cardinal Health had a very different business strategy, one of a large-scale distributor, low-cost supplier, broad distribution at low cost. Right. And so with that, Cardinal made a different kind of investment within Cordis. So instead of investing on innovation, Cardinal focused very much on lean manufacturing. One of the things you'll notice about Cordis' facilities is they're 100% digitized. All of our processes, all of our manufacturing methods are fully digitally monitored, and so we know in real time yield, cycle time, cost of manufacturing. We're very good lean manufacturers. As a result of that investment by Cardinal, as well as investing in other processes to vertically integrate, drive cost reduction overall on the finished device side, when private equity took ownership of us, the first thing they noticed is our manufacturing expertises were world-class, best in class. Many of our investors also own or have invested in contract manufacturing organizations. They see the differences. And so they encouraged Cordis to consider entry as a contract manufacturer, and so we developed the manufacturing solution businesses, based on that direction.
Okay. You mentioned contract manufacturers. There's a lot of contract manufacturers out there that produce similar components, products. What sets you apart from the others?
That's another good question. So, at the end of the day, we're a $1 billion finished medical device company. Like, we are about making finished medical devices and innovating finished medical devices. So when we supply components to our medical devices, it's an end-to-end yield process. We're not building just to a spec. I mean, we are building to a spec, but we're measuring that spec all the way downstream to the final yield of the catheter that we're trying to produce. So our engineers are very adept not only of achieving specs, but recognizing the iterations that have to take place to dial in a component so that you get the final yield results you want to see downstream. So as a finished device manufacturer, that's just our culture.
Yeah.
It's inbred in the way we do things. It's very different than what you might see on a contract manufacturing side. That's simply supplying components to specification, and that's it.
Right. Yeah, you talked a little bit earlier, you alluded to the lean practices that Cardinal implemented. So along the way, there's many capabilities, quality improvements that you made that you can integrate into this contract manufacturing model.
Right. I mean, that's a great question also. I mean, Johnson & Johnson quality system, is core to Cordis. We were part of J&J. That quality system was brought in by J&J. It really hasn't changed. Right. It's still very much the same quality system, just evolved to the kind of manufacturing, the kind of products we have today. So its integrity is at the finished device level, much higher, much more robust than what you might see in many contract manufacturing organizations, because we have to do surveillance in the field and device reporting for any kind of events that happen in the field. And so as a result, that capability is brought into the supplier side, and we bring that focus on quality in what we do here.
World-class quality.
World-class quality.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Tony, talk to us a little bit about some of the gaps or unmet needs or challenges that Cordis Manufacturing Solutions is solving. So another part of the journey that we undertook was developing our own manufacturing processes. So for Etched PTFE liners, we have a proprietary manufacturing process, unique and different in the industry. Can't disclose it in detail, but what I can tell you is it allows us to be both more efficient in terms of how we operate and to improve our yield and control for tighter specifications. So what we think we can do is achieve more complex designs because of our proprietary manufacturing processes that might be a gap in the market today. And at the same time, do it very efficiently, create value in terms of the cost of production. We talked about quality, world-class quality, these technical capabilities. And as you gave me a tour earlier, I already know, too, that the scale and magnitude of some of these operations, like braided catheter tubing, massive, over 200 braiders, extrusion systems. Talk to us a little bit how you scale these capabilities for a customer. For instance, a big medical device OEM that has high volume, that needs the quality, the technical capabilities. How do you really perform scalability for them?
Yep. So to put it in perspective, today, this facility where we make all of our medical components for OEM supply, this facility is manufacturing 50 million catheters annually for internal use for Cordis finished devices. So most of the customers that we work with are in volumes well below that. And so as a result, many of our processes are automated to semi-automated, and we're able to leverage that and share that with our customers to bring them that kind of value, even though their volumes don't necessarily support that level of investment on their side. And so our thought process in terms of how we control and how we manufacture and how we produce for our own devices is pretty much shared as intellectual property with those customers we work with in the OEM side.
Okay. A lot of these capabilities, etched PTFE liners, FEP heat shrink tubing, PEEK tubing, require specialized know-how, capabilities, and you're working with large strategic OEMs. How do you protect your IP in a scenario like that?
Yeah, we basically don't reveal the full manufacturing process. So a lot of the specifications that would be used, the controls in the manufacturing process specifically, we wouldn't share directly with customers. But we're very open. We allow customers to come and see our facility. We share with them, the manufacturing processes that we use, and we explain to them why we believe we're able to control for higher yields, tighter specifications, lower cost of production. But in doing that and collaborating and partnering with them to achieve their custom designs, we don't necessarily disclose exactly how we do it. And so that's how we protect our IP today.
Your secret sauce.
Our secret sauce.
We're both commercial people, right? Salespeople, and one of the things often that we talk about in sales is your ideal customer, or the ideal customer that you want to collaborate with. Can you talk to us or share what is the ideal customer that you'd like to collaborate with or work with?
Sure. I mean, obviously, our scale, our quality system, our technical know-how is a perfect partner for any of the strategics in the medical device space. Because they're looking for that quality, they're looking for that scale, they're looking for that engineering know-how to run with them immediately at the pace they want to run with. So we can do that right away. Like we're plug and play right away. That being said, we don't turn away emerging technology companies with novel devices in high growth markets where we think it's a place we want to participate. It's selective, to be fair. But where we see opportunities and we see potential, we will collaborate with companies that are emerging tech or mid-tier, mid-sized companies as well in specialty markets, high growth markets, areas, again, where our manufacturing expertise would create significant value for those companies, and we could see a good collaboration and partnership. Okay.
Speaking of collaboration and partnership, we've been mainly talking about large strategics, OEMs, but you just mentioned, mid-sized companies, small, maybe design shops. How do you support the early stage R&D? You have a partnership with Chamfer, maybe you can talk about. Can you get into a little bit about kind of the development process and how you support it for other contract manufacturers?
Sure. So whether you're a strategic or you're a startup, we pretty much have 3 tiers of business. There's the retail tier, as I call it, which is Chamfer. All of the components that we currently manufacture in our Miami Lakes facility is available online for purchase at Chamfer, and you'll get it in 2 days. So 48-hour delivery on all components that we're making today, fully validated processes within Cordis for our own finished devices. If you want a custom specification component, right, we can turn components for R&D purposes within 2 weeks. We do that through a model that we've developed internally. And so we can receive a print and reproduce that very quickly to meet your specifications within 2 weeks to support rapid product development. And then, of course, once we validate those processes, we can go into production. And we've invested significantly in capacity here, and so we're able to support production very quickly, within 4 weeks typically.
That's impressive. I think people also have this mindset where maybe an OEM, a large medical device company, can't react that quickly. But this division, the Cordis Manufacturing Solutions, is pretty nimble.
Yes. It's actually advantaged compared to a traditional contract manufacturer because we're a finished device business. As I said, we're making 50 million catheters a year out of this facility. We need to continuously invest in capital equipment to sustain that scale. So we're investing constantly in capital, and we're investing in our business. Back order is the biggest risk we have. So we can lose market share and significantly lose value by not being able to supply product into the market. So we are over aggressive in capitalizing our business so that we have sufficient capacity available at all times. And then as we look at the OEM side of it, it's important for us to dedicate capacity over and above our own needs to be able to supply that OEM business. So it allows us really to be even more, conservative around guarding our back order risk, but at the same time investing to capitalize the OEM customers and their needs and their requirements. So we're committed to that. A traditional contract manufacturer might be much more conservative around capitalization, around use of space, because they don't have a finished device business to absorb that investment if a customer doesn't utilize it.
Right.
We have a lot more flexibility within our existing manufacturing processes for a finished device to be able to support those investments and to utilize them and to be bold in terms of how we're investing in the business to create capacity.
That's a good point about being bold, and you compared it to a traditional contract manufacturer. That's not necessarily always bold. Some are, some aren't, but to invest in a capability like a PTFE extrusion line, huge infrastructure investment, you're not going to do that unless there's a big book of business there to support it by a particular customer, right?
Correct. So I guess we are the book of business. We're making components annually for our own internal use, and that's the anchor. And from that, we can scale and add 20, 30 million units in capacity over and above that to supply as an OEM supplier. So that is how we're able to hedge some of that risk where others can't.
Tony, we've covered a lot, and it's been great. And I kind of want to wrap this up by understanding the vision, the mission, and where you see Cordis Manufacturing in 5 years.
So, as I started in the beginning of our conversation, we are experts in the manufacturing development of advanced catheter delivery systems. Today, we're supplying components. It's a measured investment, right? So we started with investing in the capacity to support the components behind a capability that we had. And so we're very confident we can meet the needs of customers with that investment. As this business grows, the natural progression is to do more around the pathway of advanced catheter development. So we are very, very sophisticated braiders. We can do it in high volume, high scale, and high complexity at very low cost. So integrating braiding, coiling, extrusion, reflow, tipping and molding, right, to basically do the whole catheter would be, I think, a long-term plan for Cordis. We're not necessarily there today, but as we grow our business and as customers come to us with more challenging projects to support them with, that's the natural evolution of where this business could go.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just like PTFE, FEP heat shrink, you're utilizing those components on finished devices, so there's a lot more associated with that, like you just mentioned, the tipping, the braiding, coiling.
Yep.
So that it would be a natural evolution, it sounds, to bring those additional capabilities to the marketplace.
Right. I mean, the etched liner is a foundation piece, right?
Right.
And from that, you can build all the other ancillary capabilities with it. We do it today, frankly, for ourselves. It's just in order to support that as an OEM supplier, it's an investment both in capacity and people. And so it's a gated, intentional step as we enter the market, what we choose to invest in and support, so that we don't overpromise and underdeliver.
Okay, excellent. Well, I'll look forward to keeping track of how things progress. Good job so far.
Thank you.
And I think the future's bright.
All right.
So what school did you go to in Boston?
Boston College.
Okay, BC. Yeah.
Went as an undergrad, and then he went back in law school. So
Okay.
they call that a double eagle.
Ah, yeah.
I call it buy 7, you get 1 free.
Yeah. Tony, thanks for the tour. Real impressive capabilities, PTFE extrusion, FEP heat shrink tubing, massive braiding operations. Right in back of us, there's a half a dozen extrusion lines. What's your message to an R&D engineer from a small startup to a large medical device company?
Well, we can take their development ideas and turn them into scalable manufactured devices, right? In part, taking their prints and modifying them to be able to manufacture them to scale, but also with the production know-how and capability to produce extrusions, advanced braids, FEP, PTFE, peak extrusions to support their designs.
Okay. So within that realm, how do you deal with the differences between, the small batch orders to large, high-volume, scalable production orders?
Sure. Everything in one way or the other has to come through a process development step anyway, right? So some of it's there a little longer than others. But a big part of what we do is that 95% of the manufacturing processes are essentially consistent, regardless of size. So the remaining 5% is where you get into the nuances of inner diameter, outer diameter differences, wall thickness differences, lengths of the component differences. And so that's where tooling and dies come in. That's where there's some advanced process development comes in. And so, we basically are confident that with that tweaking, we can exist in the R&D stage, knowing that 95% of the production process is going to be consistent, robust, valid. And so we manage that mix. Most of what we do is on the production side, to be fair, but we certainly understand that R&D is a big part of the business.
You talked a little bit about tooling, and today with the tour, you introduced me to several engineers, product development engineers, quality engineers, you have a big audit going on today. Those are some of the resources that you could bring to play.
Yes. We do a lot of our tooling in-house, not all of it, but we're capable of doing quite a bit of it. Again, we supply a lot of components for our own finished device business, so we have a vast inventory of tools and dies already in place. We have a large matrix of validated sizes already in place, so if we're not already making a size, it's very quick for us to validate a size within that matrix to be able to produce quickly. And so our manufacturing engineering team, our quality engineering team are all committed to really being nimble to support the customer that way.
Tony, we talked a lot about PTFE extrusion, FEP, heat shrink, tubing, and I know you also have the capability to extrude PEEK,
Yes.
which is a real niche application in MedTech, right?
Right.
And you were able to share with me some samples here. This is a PEEK tube, I believe it necks down from 7 French down to 5 French. There's some markers on it, so there's some value add beyond extrusion. These are some of the additional capabilities that you bring to the market.
Right. Yeah, I mean, for those who work with PEEK, they recognize that that's not an easy manufacturing process to implement. PEEK's a great substance to work with because it mirrors what a metal hypotube can do, but it's much lower cost. And so we use PEEK in a lot of our finished devices as a way of leaning out the cost and improving or matching the performance requirements of a metal hypotube. And we can offer that obviously to others who are trying to do the same.
Okay. So potentially some MRI compatible capabilities there.
MRI compatible, and then of course, devices under a lot of cost pressure, where a metal hypotube might be a component that's too expensive to put in the device, but they require column strength and torque in the device in order to achieve the device's performance requirements.
Okay, yeah, good job on this. Nice product,
Thank
by
you.
the way.
Yeah.
Through the tour of the PTFE extrusion and FEP heat shrink, there's a lot going on there that a lot of people don't realize that goes into the production of, for instance, etched PTFE liners. I know there's a lot of proprietary nature to it, but can you share what you're allowed to?
Sure. I think the biggest thing is that there are a lot of things that go into the performance of the material that aren't necessarily captured in the specifications that we receive. So we can manufacture to any specification, but getting the material to perform the way the customer wants it to perform sometimes isn't always crystal clear or captured in a drawing. And so what we're very adept at in the processes that we have here is being able to modify, a number of different, manufacturing steps in order to achieve the performance requirements for the component we're making. Could be heat, could be evaporation time, could be the sizes of the wall thickness or the length and the shrink ratios we build into the components we're making. There's a number of things we can tweak and play with. It all comes down to meeting the end result, which is the final yield of the catheter they're trying to manufacture, and not necessarily the specification that's on the print we're looking at.
That's a good point, because beyond making components, we talked about Cordis, a lot of these components have to meet those performance criteria in an end device.
Yes.
And they're doing it right now,
right,
in scale.
Yes. Yeah, I mean everything we make right now, we bring to market. So you're kind of putting your money where your mouth is, so to speak. Within our own universe, we build things to our engineers' specifications that don't sometimes perform the way we expect them to downstream when we build them into finished product. So that communication, that engagement, that ability to iterate and change and modify and tweak is a critical part of the success story of what we do internally, and a capability we think we could bring to the marketplace to any customer we work with.
I talk about technical capabilities, extrusion, catheter development all the time, but sometimes we forget about really the end goal, and that's the patient, right? Talk a little bit about how all these capabilities wrapped up, the combination of the experience with Cordis and the end devices, how they benefit the patient.
Right. So we have something on our mission statement here at the company, which is work as if lives depend upon it. And the truth is, everything we make here is going to save somebody's life in one capacity or the other, and so lives do truly depend on everything we do here. I think we best capture that in the robust quality systems and methods that we have in place. We build them in line, and we also build them through lot-to-lot testing, and we test them both here on the floor and test them at the finished device level as well before they ever leave, the factory setting to get to a patient. We talked earlier about the quality system that we have here. It's heritage in J&J. We believe it's world class. It's critical in terms of having that kind of quality system and also at the same time working to save people's lives.